If you're watching this video, it's because you're already familiar with what a ratio is, that there are 3 ways to write a ratio, and that it's important to simplify ratios in order to better understand their true meaning, okay? So today we're gonna go a little bit further, and we are going to talk about our equivalent ratios, okay? We've been talking about equivalent fractions forever, so this is kind of the same concept here, okay? We want to talk about equivalent ratios, and we want to be able to kind of break it down to simplest terms, so that way we can create any kind of proportionate recipe, if you will. If I started out with what you see here at the bottom, we have a proportion of 3 to 6, okay? And we have now created an equivalent ratio of 2 to 4. I can check to make sure that those are equivalent to one another. Just like we did with our fractions, I can do it by using a cross product method. When we practiced it in class, I called it the over-up method. But it is cross products, basically, right? You are multiplying across to see if they're equivalent to one another. So just to kind of act this out so you can kind of see what they did, to kind of refresh your brain as well. If I give you 2 ratios, this is read as 3 to 6 is equal to 2 to 4. If we're trying to figure out if that's a true statement, are they really equal to one another, I'm going to multiply over and up, okay? So they call it cross products. I call it over and up just so you can kind of remember the process. 6 times 2 gets me 12, right? Well, what if I cross over the other way? 4 times 3, what does that get me? It gets me 12. So as long as I am getting the same product when I multiply over and up, that is a way to show me that those ratios are equivalent to one another, okay? So that's just kind of your basic overall understanding of finding equivalent or proportionate ratios. We're going to use that knowledge in the next lesson when it comes to creating equivalent ratio tables. Okay, but for right now, I just kind of want to go a little bit further into this. So what if, that's just a way to prove that they're equivalent to one another. Another thing that I want to point out is that you can go through and create proportions to help you, like, I know a common one is baking, right? I particularly don't bake a lot at home, but I do know if I'm cooking something, if the recipe that I look up online, usually Pinterest will give you recipes that are good for like a family of 4, right? Well, Maggie's super picky. She doesn't really eat anything anyway. And so it's kind of Eric and myself in the house that I would be cooking for. So I would need to change up that recipe. So if I happen to find something that looks really yummy and it has a recipe of, I don't even know, I'm going to use like common ingredients. So let's say there are, for every 3 cups of sugar, you need to use, I don't know, 8 tablespoons of cinnamon. I don't know. I'm just going to make stuff up. Okay, so we're going to say 3 cups of sugar for 8 tablespoons of cinnamon. I'm pretty sure that amount of cinnamon would like choke and gag you, but that's the first thing that came up on the top of my head. Okay, so that recipe is supposed to be for 4 people, okay? That's what the Pinterest recipe says. So instead, I'm going to say, hey, I would like to make this recipe for a holiday party that I'm going to, okay? So it's not just going to be for 4 people. It's going to be for 16 people. Okay, 16 people at this party are going to be eating these cookies. Well, if the original recipe is for 4 people, what do you think I need to do to make sure that I have enough cookies for 16 people? I mean, I know it's not like a life or death situation, but it is pretty common. You're going to run across this a lot as you get older, whether it's just trying to reduce things down for your own family or actually getting ready for a party, okay? So if I am thinking about this mathematically for a second, My original recipe's for 4 people. I need to increase everything in my recipe so it feeds 16 people instead. So all you're doing is saying how many times more do I need in this recipe. I know if I take 4 and I multiply it by 4, right, I'm gonna get 16. That means my recipe is 4 times larger than the original recipe, correct? So to stay proportionate, so all of a sudden when I look up above, if I am talking about the amount of sugar and the amount of cinnamon, if I want those cookies to taste the exact same as the recipe when I made it for only 4 people, I have to keep everything equal to one another proportionally. So that means 3 cups has to be multiplied by 4, right? So that way, instead of having 3 cups of sugar, I now need 12 cups of sugar, right? Because that means that is 4 times more, right? So what do you think I'm going to do to the 8 tablespoons of cinnamon? I want it to taste the exact same, so I need 4 times that amount. So I am literally taking 8 tablespoons. I'm going to multiply it by 4, right? And that means I'm now going to have 32 tablespoons of cinnamon. Dear Lord. I don't know what recipe would ever call for that. I'm pretty sure you only put like a pinch of cinnamon in anything that you make. So don't make cookies based off of this. But okay, so this is a proportionate increase in my recipe. I started out with 3 cups to every 8 tablespoons. And that was for 4 people. And all I did was increase the entire recipe by 4 in order to create a recipe for 16 people. Okay, that's what proportionate means. Whatever you do to one number, you also have to do to the next in order to stay proportionate. So it will taste the same. Or if you are, again, I could use another comparison. I don't know when you might want to use this, but we've done kickball tournaments before. I did a charity one year with the kids, and so we did a kickball tournament, right? And so we did it for the entire middle school, and we said, hey, to keep things fair, for every one, let's do this actually. I'm going to make a table so it stays kind of organized a little bit better, okay? So we're gonna say we have 8th graders, right? We have 7th graders, and we have 6th graders, right? And we want to create a team. So in general, this is kind of stereotypical, but in general, your 8th graders are gonna have a little bit more force behind them because they're older, right? So we would wanna say for every 1 8th grader on a kickball team, maybe you want to be able to have 2 7th graders and 3 6th graders. Okay, just to kind of keep things fair, I guess. So in order to keep things proportionate, if I want a larger team than that, I have to multiply everything by the same amount. So this is actually a really good intro into our next lesson, which is ratio tables. Think about this in terms of, okay, so we have a part of your team is 8th grade, a part of your team is 7th grade, and a part of your team is 6th grade. Yeah. Well, I'm going to add one more box to this, one more row. And I'm going to say, I'm going to put a T here. What do you think the T stands for? It's going to stand for, I'm going to put a 6 here and see if you can tell. The T just stands for total number of kids on your team, right? Because if you have 3 6th graders, 2 7th graders, and 1 8th grader, you have 6 kids total on your team, right? So this is a way of showing you that ratios can be comparing parts. It could also be comparing it to a total, right? So you could say for every 1 8th grader, you have 6 total students on your team. So anyway, okay, so let's say instead of having 6 kids on your team, I want to have 36 kids on your team, right? It's a really big kickball team. Okay, so what did I essentially do? How much larger is your team now? Your team is now officially 6 times larger, right? Because 6 times 6 is 36. So if your total amount of students is 6 times more, then everything else, every part needs to stay proportionate to the original recipe, right? So that means I have to take 3 6th graders and multiply that by 6, right? So that's going to get me 18, right? And then I'm going to take those 2 7th graders from the original team, and I'm going to multiply that by 6. So now all of a sudden I would have 12 7th graders on my new team. And I'm going to take that 1 8th grader, and I'm going to multiply that by 6. So I actually, in my new team, I get 6 8th graders. Cool? So this is just a way to show proportionates. If I have an original team of 6 players, and then I decide, I need a much larger team. I need a team that is 6 times larger than that. I have to multiply everything by 6 to stay proportionate, right? And your proportion tables, I'm just going to jump into this anyway since we're talking about it. Your proportion, your equivalent ratio tables can kind of bounce back and forth. So I could essentially do this, and say, hey, okay, now that I've given you 2 different team amounts, fill out the rest of this table. I know it doesn't go in order because you had a team of 6. Then I asked you for a team of 36, and now I'm getting smaller again, and I'm asking you to create a team of 12. That's okay. With the ratio table, you can kind of bounce around in order. You're still going to be able to follow those same rules. Go back to your original team, right? Your original proportion, and it'll be super easy to do again. I can actually go through, I'm going to erase this just for like dramatic effect, okay? I'm going to go through and I'm going to erase everything in this middle column because I could care less. That does not affect what I'm going to do for my team of 12 kids, right? So I'm going to use the exact same concept though. If I started with a team of 6 students total, and now I have a team of 12, how much larger did I get? All I did was I took 6 and I multiplied it by 2, right? I have a team that is twice the size of the original team. So I'm going to go through and do that to every single number. I'm going to take 3 times 2. I'm going to take 2 times 2. I'm going to take 1 times 2. Cool? So this is a proportionate or equivalent team. Cool? So it's the same concept as with fractions. Whatever you do to one number, you have to do to all of them in order to stay proportionate.